All right, in this particular problem, we're asked to find the domain of this function, and we have a rational function, meaning we have a basically we have a polynomial over another polynomial, and we need to use interval notation to write our final answer. And the second part of this is we're asked to give the zero of this function. So let's take a look at the first part and the domain. What we need to recognize is that because we have a denominator, that this particular part, the denominator, cannot. Let me just write it in a different color. Whatever we do, we want to make sure that this does not equal to 0. Okay, so let's try to find the values that will make this equal to 0, and then that will become the points that we exclude from our interval notation. So we'll start off by let's say 5x squared minus 8x minus 21 equals to 0. Okay, so we're just going to solve this here, and when we do that, you'll have to factor this using your method of preference, and the result that you should get is 5x plus 7 multiplied by the quantity of x minus 3, and this is all equal to 0. Okay? So the result of this, first let's go ahead and solve these things individually. So we have 5x plus 7 equal to 0. Then we'll come up here and subtract 7 from both sides. We'll end up with what 5x is equal to negative 7. Then we'll divide both sides by 5. And you know that these will cancel out. And then the result will be x is equal to negative 7 over 5. Okay. So we'll do the same thing again over here where x is minus 3 is equal to 0. Then we'll add 3 to both sides. And we end up with x is equal to positive 3. So here are our critical points, if you will. Excuse me. And so our domain will let's go ahead and write this here. Our domain is, well, let's look at this on the number line first. We end up with negative, let's see, negative 7 over 5. That's like what, negative 1.4. And then we end up with positive 3. Okay, so here are our sections here where we have basically, let's see, this is negative infinity up to negative 7/5. 1 second. Alright, and then also that is going to be union with negative 7/5 up to 3. Notice I'm using parentheses because the parentheses indicate that I'm not including the values of negative 7 and positive 3, because these are the values that will result in our denominator equal to 0. So I don't want to include those. I just want to say that our domain goes up to those points. And then we have positive 3 up to positive infinity. Okay, so here is our domain here. Okay, the final thing that we need to consider is that we have we want to find out what the 0 of this function is. So to find out the 0 of this function, we need to see what causes this to equal to 0. all right? Because anything 0 over anything is always going to result in 0. So we want to see what value will result in this this function equaling to 0. So let's do this, all right? Let's take let's see, 5 minus 2x, set that equal to 0. Let me draw a line right here so we know we're separate. Then we end up with plus, well, actually, sorry, we're going to subtract 5 from both sides. Boom, boom. And let's see, this will cancel out. And the result is negative 2x is equal to negative 5. And then let's divide both sides by negative 2. Alright, so these cancel out. And we end up with x is equal to, well, negative divided by negative will give us positive 5 over 2. So here is our domain, first of all. Oops. Use a different color so it stands out. Here's our domain. All right, in interval notation. And then here's the zeros of our function over here. Okay, this is the only value that will result in our function equaling to 0. Okay.